Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. Today's review is going to be about a watch that is surrounded by some pretty epic drama because of the way it looks. I'm talking about Steinhardt. When you look at the Steinhart Ocean One GMT Pepsi, you might mistake it for the Rolex GMT Masters II Pepsi, and that is why there is so much controversy amongst Rolex purists on this watch. But this video isn't about that. Instead, we'll be looking at the Steinhardt purely as a timekeeping device and whether it deserves its reputation, whether good or bad. The Steinhardt Pepsi's case uses a classic Rolex oyster case that is slightly modded. The first indicator of that is that the crown that slightly protrudes from between the crown guards when it is fully screwed in. Officially, the watch is listed as having a diameter of 39mm, but it wears a little smaller than that thanks to its skinnier lugs. It has a height of 13mm, which hits the spot for people who don't enjoy thick watches, like me. Plus, the polished sidewalls of the stainless steel case makes the height look thinner than it really is. But if you have bigger size wrists, then you will be happy to know that Steinhardt also offers this model in both 42mm and 44mm versions as well. Taking apart the case a little further, at this price point you definitely get what you pay for. While the steel case is of relatively good quality, it is overly polished, and there is definitely way less bling factor compared to the actual Rolex GMT Masters case. You should also expect scratches when you wear this watch for a daily one, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Over time, the watch becomes truly yours, and you'll have a story for every dent or scratch on it. So be proud of that. The dial also pays homage to the Rolex sports models, being a white 5-liner dial with logo at 12 o'clock, and red wordings depicting the model on top of matte black. The term Swiss made that is printed on the dial actually refers to the ETA movement and not where the watch was actually assembled. Also, when seen from afar, both logo and brand name on the dial can easily be mistaken for an actual Rolex. This is definitely not a coincidence by Steinhardt. The Mercedes hands also equate to the ones on the Rolex, except that for the Steinhardt, the GMT hand has a red stem to point it out and extends all the way to the minute indices, which makes for easier reading. The Steinhart Ocean One GMT has a unidirectional 120 click bezel, but I would have preferred it if they had used maybe a 24 or 48 click bezel that is also multi-directional. This is because bezels that only move in one direction kind of reminds me of the ones on the diver watch, and this is a GMT. Although Steinhardt might have actually had to do that in order to keep prices down and to share parts across their models. Unfortunately, the bezel is also not the smoothest out there, and it is quite tough to rotate. Apparently, I've heard that these types of bezels are termed white knuckle bezels, for obvious reasons. Another thing that annoys me a little bit about this watch is that it does not have a see-through case back, which is what I usually prefer to see on a watch. While it does have a screw-down case back, it isn't plain. On it is etched the image of the god of the sea, Neptune, which to me is inconsistent for the watch being a GMT and not really a diver. But I guess I would take an etched case back over a plain one any day. So where the Steinhardt excels in really lies in the bracelet. Most lower end homage pieces fail to actually aspire to the bracelet quality of its inspiration. And while this is no Rolex oyster bracelet, it does stand out from its peers in a few ways. For one, you get solid end links with removable screws. The concave links are also tapered slightly, and the bracelet actually tapers down from 20mm to 16mm from the case down to the clasp. You also get a pretty solid clasp than other watches at the same price point that I have seen. Moving on to the movement, the Steinhardt is powered by the ETA 2398-2. As you know, this is a GMT movement that can be found in other brands like Christopher Ward, Hamilton, glycine, and even Breitling. While it is affordable and reliable, its major flaw is that the hour hand doesn't jump. It's the GMT hand that does. Typically, on the GMT Master 2, the hour hand jumps to make it easier to set it to new time zones, so this actually makes it a little harder to read on the Steinhardt. Nevertheless, the added red hand makes for a cool addition on the dial, whether you decide to fully utilize the GMT function or not. My final thoughts on the Steinhart Ocean One Pepsi GMT is that while it may look very similar to a Rolex GMT Masters 2, this fact should not make you shy away from owning one, or at the very least going to the stores and trying one on. This is because despite the way it looks, it is a watch that does its job. It has a reliable automatic movement, vintage watch measurements, and a Pepsi bezel to boot. Best thing of all is that they don't cost 2 arms and a leg to own, and there's definitely no 6-month to 3-year waiting list to bid on before you can actually get the watch. I guess if I had to say the one thing that Steinhardt does better than Rolex is that they actually listen to their customers. Do you think that Steinhardt should stop copying other brands' designs, or should they just continue to do what they've always been doing? Discuss below. If you've enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe on the left, or check out more videos on the right. Penang Watch Guy, out.